All right, guys, we're back here in Yakima, Washington with Manjenique. How's it going, Manjenique?
It's going.
So I just happened to be pulling up to this spot right here, and I've met Sarah here. I've seen a whole bunch of different people in this spot, you know?
Okay.
Are you currently staying right here?
No, I had some friends that I went to high school with, and they were staying here a little while back when it was still cold. And this is kind of the aftermath, and so I just happened by, and I figured I'd kind of help with the cleanup.
For sure. That's good.
Yeah.
Because you know how it is, like people have a stereotype or a perception of homeless that if they see this, they assume that everyone does it, right?
Yeah,
and that's not right.
It definitely does give a bad name to everybody who, is down on their luck or experiencing homelessness.
Right. Are you from Yakima?
No, I'm not. I was born in Minnesota, but I mostly grew up out here since the age of 12, and then now I'm 30, and so I've done most of my prime, growing up here.
Where do you sleep at night?
It varies, it's just really where I lay my head is home. I have friends here and there, who will let me sleep on their couch, but for the most part, on the streets.
How long have you been out on the streets?
Well, I had help from my mother off and on for years, but usually it was her housing. She got housing through either neighborhood health or comprehensive mental services, and so her housing didn't really allow me to stay with her, and so I didn't ever want to jeopardize that for her, and then I just lost her a couple years ago now, and so yeah, I've really been on the streets since I want to say about 16.
Wow.
Yeah.
Been half your life.
Yeah.
Do you have any siblings or any family members that are out here in the struggle as well?
I have a brother that when I first hit the streets, he was out on the streets a lot as well. I moved out here to get back in contact with my father, and he was experiencing really bad down in his alcoholism, and so that forced me and my brother out onto the streets just to not have to deal with our home life. And now he's on Social Security, and he lives in Minneapolis with my older sister, and so he's well taken care of there, but he's not here on the streets anymore.
Okay.
So it's just me.
Does any of your family or friends ever call you, check up on you, come out here?
I have some close family friends, some of my mom's old caregivers, or just some high school friends, that they're in a little bit more well-off place in their life, and so when they see me, they always stop and say hi, make sure I have a meal and some clean clothes, which is a big deal,
So this past winter, I was doing interviews everywhere all over Yakima. I never saw you before. It's actually the first time I meet you. Where were you at during the winter time? Were you out in the streets?
Yeah, I was. Sadly,
wow.
It was really a cold winter too. So,
for sure.
Part of it, I was actually in jail, sadly, for a crime I didn't commit. But honestly, it was a place to be warm. And then I was really in the thick of it. I was right downtown at Connections. Some of my friends, even their shoes got wet from walking in the snow.
Yeah.
And then it would get so cold again that their feet literally would freeze to the ground. So I was going around with hand sanitizer and matches and just making sure my friends didn't literally freeze to death.
Well, I don't know if you heard about the guy at Starbucks that froze to death at Starbucks right around the corner from Connections.
I did. I heard about that. And sadly, that's one of the places that I would frequent during the winter, and I was actually in jail at the time that happened. And so when I got out and I heard about that, it really, hit me.
For sure.
Yeah.
Hey, did you know Clarissa? I've done interviews on her before, and she actually just passed away in the county jail not that long ago, and she was on the blues.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't know if you know her.
Is that what caused her death? Do you know?
I'm not sure what caused her death, but I was just told that she died in the county jail,
Wow.
Yeah. With that, have you had to turn to any substances while being out here in the streets?
Yeah, I've used weed since high school, and then it progressed. I kind of went through the gateway. I did weed, and then I tried alcohol, then I went to cocaine, then it progressed to meth, and then within the last 5 or 6 years, it went to heroin. And then after heroin, the blues came about, the perks, and that just kind of took over. And I didn't like it at first. It kind of scared me. and they were so expensive. I mean, people were paying $30 for a tiny little pill,
Really?
and I didn't want any part to do with that. Definitely
Yeah.
knowing how frequently people were overdosing on them. But inevitably, I got to the point that because I don't IV use, that I couldn't find heroin anymore, and so I inevitably turned to the perks.
Wow. How many blues do you do currently a day?
Thank God I've actually been able to slow down my use. I mean, I do
good.
maybe about 3 or 4 a day now, but a couple summers ago, I was easily doing 20, 25 a day.
Oh, wow. Have you ever overdosed on anything?
Yes, sadly. I actually thought about getting in contact with Memorial Hospital to find out exactly how many times I have died.
Wow. So you're not even sure how many times?
After the 3rd time, I stopped counting,
Wow.
sadly.
What
Yeah.
happened? What memories do you have from those times of overdosing that happened to you?
Well, there's a couple times here and there that I'm pretty sure, because I was alone, that I'm pretty sure I overdosed, and I was just blessed enough to still wake up. And then usually it's just nothing, just absolute nothingness. And that really scared me. But then there's a couple times where maybe I took a hit and I knew it was too much.
Yeah.
And so I'd go around, maybe one time in particular, I was at a friend's apartment, and I told her, whoa, that was too much. And I asked her, did she have Narcan? She said no. So I went room to room, like to the living room, to the other bedroom, and asked everybody, does anybody have Narcan? And they're looking at me like, no, what's going on? Are you okay? I said, no, I'm not. And I went to the kitchen, and I stuck my head in the freezer because it's the only thing I could think to do. And I had a friend, she was pouring a pitcher of water on me, and I felt like I was drowning because I couldn't even speak. And the next thing I know, I'm coming to, I'm sitting in the refrigerator, and my friend has an ice pack on my head, and then I went out again. And then I'm waking up, and I'm curled up in a pile of garbage on a couch cushion.
Wow.
And my boyfriend at the time, he uses amphetamines, but he doesn't use the perks, and so it was a really big issue in our relationship. So he came to the door, and the people didn't want to let him in, and so he kind of just barged his way in with his dog, and he comes up to me and he goes, "What the hell are you doing?"
Wow.
And I told him, dying. And I was so out of it, I didn't really even register having said that to him.
Wow.
And he said, "Girl, I love you. You're laying in a pile of garbage. You're better than this.
Yeah.
Get up off the floor."
Wow.
And I registered. I'm in a drug house on the floor in a pile of garbage. And that's literally how I was treating myself.
Do you feel like those experiences are part of the reason why you've slowed down doing the blues as much?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Definitely with the transition to a lot of people now are using fentanyl powder.
Right.
Which is even stronger. And I don't want anything to do with that.
People are overdosing left and right in
So
Yakima.
much more. Oh
Everywhere.
yeah, than ever. It's ridiculous. Like you just mentioned, Clarissa.
Yeah.
And then, I mean, it's like every week I hear of at least one person that I know that dies.
Yep.
I've never dealt with so much death so close to me before in my life, ever.
Yeah, it's crazy. Do you have any children?
No, I don't. Honestly, gratefully, I don't, so that I'm not affecting them with my use.
Right, or the struggle out here in the streets, because it's not easy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Tell me, how difficult is it being a female out on the streets on top of just being out in the streets,
Ooh, that's a heavy one. That is one thing that I definitely try to express to my fellow women who are out here.
Yeah.
That it's hard, and some guys that I know, they experience a little bit of it here and there. And I try to point that out to them, like, think of that times 10, because we'll deal with so much more of just, like getting hit on when we don't want it, getting followed, getting pressured. Definitely if we use drugs, then many, or just people in general, use that as a manipulation tactic. We get our things stolen, and then there's violence on top of it. And so it's a scary world. It really is. I mean, and I know Yakima is a concentrated version of it, but there's good and bad people all across the country and all over the world.
For sure.
You know, there's people, they want to do good, but they don't really know how, or they're maybe a little scared to. And then there's people who don't mean well for anybody. They're just out to benefit themselves.
Yeah.
And that's scary. Definitely as a female, it makes you feel kind of vulnerable.
For sure.
It definitely helps having a male around, you know, just the presence of a male who means well, you know.
Yeah. Have you ever had a result to doing dates out here in the streets?
Thankfully, no. I've been able to stay level-headed enough, and I guess it's just a level of personal respect and relationship with my God that I actually haven't chosen to do that. I mean, don't get me wrong, I don't knock anybody who chooses that, you know, but it's definitely a lifestyle.
For sure.
And I've been really close to it, you know, with being a homeless female out here. There's a lot of women who do choose to do so, and so I try my best to look out for them as well. You know, if I hear of some creeps or perverts or something, then I always try to let the word be known.
Well, that's good that you don't do that, because every single person I interview that says that they have done it has experienced a huge level of trauma from it. You know,
yeah,
so that's good
definitely.
that you don't do that. What message do you have for family or friends if they end up seeing this video?
Don't be afraid to help. Don't be afraid to ask. You know, if you see somebody who seems like they're struggling, or if you feel personally like you're struggling, you know, don't be afraid to talk to somebody about it. Because really, that's really the heart of it all, is that we deal with so much chaos in our day-to-day lives, you know, and it's like we forget that we're not the only ones going through it. You know, and that's really all it takes sometimes, is somebody saying, hey, I care about you. I don't want to see you going through this. To make you want to care about yourself and maybe find another means of taking care of yourself, you know?
For sure. What's your message to the youth about homelessness?
Anybody can be homeless. You don't have to be crazy to be homeless. You don't have to be a bad person to be homeless. Literally, you can just be late on your rent one time and you miss a payment, and then you lose your place, then you lose your wife, and your wife takes your kids, and then you're living in a tent on the Greenway trying to find a job. You can't find a job because you live in a tent, so nobody wants to hire you because you don't have a mailing address or a bank account. You don't have an ID because you don't have a place in order to get those things, and it's kind of a downward spiral, you know. But just reaching out, you know, that there might not be many organizations out here, but even other people on the streets, you know, try to find somebody who's made their way out of it, you know, because there is housing, you know, like Connection has the HEN program, and there is subsidized housing and stuff around. Really reaching out to people who are trying to get out of the struggle and who have successfully made it out, you know. Go to AA meetings, you know, even if you don't stay or you don't choose to stay sober, just hearing somebody else's triumph story is a really big deal.
For sure. Would you be okay with me posting this on my YouTube channel?
Yeah, of course.
And would you be okay with doing a follow-up interview in the future?
Sure, yeah.
I appreciate it, ma'am. Thank you for your time.
Yeah, most definitely. Thank you.